This conference will now be recorded.
heartfelt appreciation to the Girls Who Code volunteers and to the Crosswicks Library Board members for their outstanding service and dedication to the Chesterfield's youth. Presented on this day, 12th day of June in the year 2025. So thank you again, girls. If you can all come forward, you can take a picture. Anybody in the township committee would like to take a picture with them, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So Matt, we're looking forward to the next one coming from you next month. Because it's your idea. And I think we like it. Okay, moving on to section 6 for public comments. And these are not just relating to matters on the agenda, but it's an open public comment section. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Can I have a motion to open it for public comments?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody would like to speak?
Jay Gaffney, 8 Marjoram Road.
Cindy Gaffney, 8 Margin Road.
We've lived there for 27 years. I think that bears repeating, so I'll say that. We sent an email to all the committee members expressing our concerns about the Marjoram Road expansion. I would like to thank the 2 members who responded to us, Committee Member Hughes and Deputy Mayor Codesdale. Again, thank you both. We know we may be repeating points others have made, but feel it is necessary to have on record what many of us believe will change Chesterfield's rural quality of life. We are asking the committee to honor the master plan, which emphasizes protecting the rural character of the township's roadway systems. Our township monies have already invested in the safety of pedestrians by developing walking and biking paths such as Old York Village, Charlotte Rogers Park, and Fenton Lane for all to use without affecting the lives of fellow residents. Please consider that the widening will have a negative environmental impact by disturbing wetland, vernal pond habitat, as well as the habitat of 4 state threatened species and a wildlife habitat corridor. Widening roads adds to air, water, and noise pollution, as well as affecting the level of well-being of Chesterfield residents by placing a road closer to homes. Yes, Marjoram Road desperately needs resurfacing, and at 22 feet will meet DOT standards. It would be the most sensible use of the $250,000 grant money. The excessive 28 feet widening will cost almost $350,000 above the DOT grant. In closing, we would like to believe the $350,000 taxpayer dollars would be better suited for other required needs that would benefit all residents of Chesterfield Township. Thank you.
Oh, any topic.
Any topic. Good afternoon, Lorraine Panfili, 518 Ward Avenue, Village of Crosswicks. I happen to be a trustee with the Historic Society, however, I'm speaking on my own behalf. The last couple meetings I've sat in, and I was in a workshop that had to do with the HPC, and I understand we're in the process of getting volunteers for a subcommittee. During the last meeting, I had offered to work on a master spreadsheet of all the properties in the district and trying to accumulate the information into one spot. So there's detailed information for everyone and to help with the contributing versus non-contributing situation. Through my research, I found out some very interesting information, and I want everyone to be aware of what I found. And hopefully knowing this will help us go forward with some missing information. The original HPC was based on, it was developed based on a report generated in 1976, which was for the New Jersey and also National Historic Places Registry. That is the only official report of a historic district that we have. The only thing that dictates says a description of what it is, what properties were considered historic at the time, and also what properties were considered what's called intrusive, which is basically non-contributing. Think of two historic homes and a ranch house stuck in between. Since then, HPC was developed 2016, and then there was updated ordinances in 2019 that actually gave them not necessarily more powers, but more detail of what was in the ordinance of what would be covered, and the descriptions of non-contributing, contributing, and key contributing properties were added. There is a map that is inconsistent with the 1976 historic districts because they attempted to expand it, and the intention was to do a new survey to evaluate all those properties that were not included originally. That never happened because of funding not being approved, even though it's been asked for multiple times. The problem now is that the only houses that are listed are in what's called a period of significance dating from 1923 to the past. It doesn't necessarily matter if we have the wrong date, if they're in 1850s or past. It just matters that 1923 and older is considered significant, and that's what they want to protect. Anything since then isn't documented at all. No review of individual properties. Nobody knows for sure if it has significance or not. And you are allowed to have more than one zone of significance, meaning 1923 back or 1945 to 1920s. You're allowed to have different errors because there are different errors in architecture that become significant over the years. Problem is, there was no due diligence that went back and made sure that this happened. And at the moment, I think we have one person that's qualified on the HPC to at least review these things. But I don't know that we actually have enough people with the criteria of historic construction to make that. So then it would have to go to a formal survey, like we've all been asking for in the first place, to determine these properties. Not having that actually makes us out of compliance of our own ordinance and also HPC guidelines through the state and, you know, what was originally intended in the first place. So I made a call to the state. I didn't get a phone call back. It got referred over to someone else. I'm waiting for some calls, but I'm not sure where we go from this because when I tried to do the report, I only had documentation from 1923 back and a few random things that we knew that we wanted to be contributing because of community significance, like the community house, even though it was an altered to the front, it still has significance, but it was literally built in 1923-24, so it's on that cusp of what's official. Okay? So I wanted everyone to be aware of this because I think the main situation we have is that if we don't have this, we're not notifying the homeowners properly. That has to happen. The order that should have happened, and as far as I understand it, is that they made the new boundary of what they thought they wanted surveyed. We requested a survey. If the survey would have happened, then professionals would have determined every single house's significance or non-significance, and then that information would be published publicly and also sent to the individual homeowners so they knew where they stood. Then they would be notified of their rights and also their ability to contest if they think they are in the wrong error or they're not contributing because they made changes or something like that. No part of that has actually happened yet. So when an individual application comes in and they're not actually on that report for 1923 and going back, there is no documentation for that property that is official. There's no report, there's nothing. It's just as much research as they can do at the time and then making a determination individually. And that doesn't follow our ordinance or the state guidelines.
I know we are well over 3 minutes here.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
What I
go
would
to.
suggest is, why don't you send us an email with your findings, and we'll have Dominic take a look at it, and we'll have the
Okay,
attorney-
I'm sorry I went too long there. I was waiting for somebody
And
to
it is,
tell me to stop.
The beeper went off, I guess.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even hear it.
and it is a complicated issue to understand.
Okay,
too,
but
so-
I
Yeah.
just wanted to make sure everybody,
Because I think it's also, it's a matter of the district too. So, but I think these are the things that we want to talk about as we go forward with the Citizens Committee and the review before the governing bodies with the new ordinance, or the
Well-
amended ordinance, to make sure that these issues are addressed.
yes, I just want to say one last thing. In the meantime, someone needs to make a decision whether HPC is eligible to be making these determinations.
Well, we'll talk to our attorney. about
Okay.
that.
Thank you.
I do think, I'm sorry, just real quick, I was going to say, I do think, Lorraine, if you would be good enough to put that in writing, I would love to get that in front of our attorney, because I feel like you've dove deeper into this certainly than any of us. And I feel like this is something that our attorney should really advise us on. So I know it's a lot to ask, but if you could put that in writing. I think you are. I think you
Well,
might be.
Yeah, and I also think we want to see what the state, which you said you called and you haven't heard, so we'll follow up with them too. But thank you.
Thank you, Larry. Sorry about that.
All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Brennan Coughlin. I live at 10 Tudor Court. I appreciate your time and also your service to our community. I'm also the pastor of Fellowship Crosspoint, which is right across the street over there. And just here for a friendly follow-up to our application to demolish the Bullock Mansion. Back in February of 2024, we signed an agreement with the township to give you a very generous runway to try to move the mansion. It was a desire of the township to move it to a township property or another suitable property. And we entered into that agreement to give you the opportunity to be able to go ahead and move the mansion. In October of 2024, our attorney followed up with Mr. Diani, just check in to see if there was any traction, any potential for moving the mansion. And my understanding at the time in October was that the township had not had the opportunity to really investigate or move forward with that. And then we recently followed up. Our attorney contacted Mr. Diani again a few weeks ago, and my understanding was there still wasn't any traction. Certainly understand fiscal limitations, very difficult to move a building. In entering into that agreement, we gave a very generous runway, and that was predicated on you can't just pick up a building and move it. There needs to be site work, there needs to be funding, all kinds of stuff. We're at a point now where there's only 10 months remaining. In April of 2026, we're in the agreement, it says that we are able to demolish the building. And I'm here just to respectfully and humbly ask that if there is no viable potential to move the building, if we could not prolong the inevitable, and just kindly asking that you would consider letting us take the building down right away instead of waiting 10 months until April of 2026.
Thank you. And I think this is something that the Township Committee needs to discuss with the attorney in
Sure.
an executive session. So we will be discussing that, and maybe you'll receive a communication from our attorney regarding that. But what you just mentioned, we were made aware of that, and you're right that we have had a couple of discussions, and we need to now make a decision. So we will have an internal discussion, and we'll certainly let you know.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your time, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, everyone.
Ma'am, if nobody else is speaking, then you'll have to come. Anybody online? You can please come.
During my research that I was just speaking about, when I was reviewing different guidelines and things, I believe that the committee may have jumped the gun in their authority to have made the arrangement with Fellowship. Our normal process would have been HPC made the recommendation, and then the planning board would have made a determination, a vote first. And then whatever would have happened after that, whether denial or approval, then it would have been, they could have appealed the normal process. That did not happen, and from what I can tell, that goes against HPC and our original ordinances that are in place for the structure of who can make those decisions. I don't know if I'm accurate for what I'm reading, but from what I can tell, it should have at least gone to the decision, and then you made the agreement. So you had something of record of what should have taken place.
Planning board did review this extensively.
They didn't make the
No, they
formal
did
vote.
deny it, and then they appealed it to us, and that, right?
I'm sorry, what happened?
My memory?
I
You know
can't,
what, Denise,
I'm
we
going
will,
by my memories.
I understand.
I can't hear what she
Let
said.
me get something
Yeah.
accurate, but
Accurate,
the planning board did have a review of the Bullock Mansion.
Did they
Indeed,
make a determination to approve or deny is what I'm asking, formally? Make a vote.
I think they denied it, and then the church
I don't
appealed
want
it.
to. I don't want
to
to
us, and
misspeak. This
yeah.
was a while
I don't
back.
want to
anything.
either.
That's why I'm
I
asking.
don't
Just
want
want
to.
and we will
There was a lot of discussion. I know that. I know the.
Yes.
We
HPC
better
had
go
extensive
back and make
discussion.
sure we have, yeah, because
That part I could not find. That's why I'm asking the question. It seemed like it jumped from, they were in the process, they were going to make a determination, and then the next thing I heard, it was in negotiations with the township, and no answer.
We appreciate the concern that you're bringing up again, and
Okay,
we
thank
will
you.
have.
we'll look it up.
Good evening, folks. Harold Dauncey, 59 Marjoram Road. I stand before you tonight to thank you for the support and interest that you all have taken in the Marjoram Road project. I would especially like to thank those of you that took the time out of your busy days to take a drive down our beautiful block and experience what we've been telling you. I have nothing new to bring to you tonight. Pretty much all of the aspects of this project have been discussed in detail in the last several meetings. I'm just here to ask you to please consider the 22-foot wide width that we would be extremely happy to have at the end of this. And that's it. Thank you again. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Harold.
Okay, anybody else? Nobody online either. Can I have a motion to close public comments?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
So is this an appropriate spot for us to discuss Marjoram Road? It's not on the agenda anymore, but
We are going to discuss.
is it on the agenda?
Under discussion.
We're going to discuss. Yep.
I'm sorry, I missed it. Okay. I'll hold my thoughts. Thanks.
So ordinance for introductions, section 7, ordinance 2025-8. Can I combine both? No, I'll have to introduce them, right? Separately. Okay. Ordinance 2025-08, an ordinance of the Township of Chesterfield in the County of Burlington, New Jersey, providing for capital equipment for the township's sewer utility in and for the township appropriating $370,000. Therefore, and authorizing the issuance of 351,500 in the sewer utility bonds or notes of the township to finance the same. Can I have a motion to introduce?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the public hearing will be on June 26th, and the appropriate supplemental debt statement has been filed.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you. Ordinance 2025-09, an ordinance of the Township of Chesterfield in the County of Burlington, New Jersey, providing for the various capital improvements and the related expenses in and for the township, appropriating $835,000, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $793,250 in the general improvement bonds or notes of the township to finance the same. Can I have a motion to introduce ordinance 2025-09?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Moving on to section 8, ordinances for public hearing and adoption. Ordinance 2025-06, an ordinance amending and supplementing the chapter 110 of the code of the township of Chesterfield entitled Fees. Can I have a motion to open it for public hearing, right?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody like to comment on this? Nope. Okay, can I have a motion to close public hearing?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Can I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2025-06?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ordinance 2025-07, an ordinance amending, revising, and supplementing Chapter 4, Article 5 of the Township Code entitled Budget Advisory Committee. Can I have a motion to open 2025-07 for public comments?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Would anybody like to comment on this? Okay, seeing none, can I have a motion to close public comment?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2025-07?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
You could probably do the first three resolutions together since they're basically all the same,
Okay, perfect.
just
Thank you.
different entity.
Section 9, resolutions, resolution 2025-601, 2025-602, and 2025-603. These are all for renewing the plenary retail consumption license,
That one's a distribution.
and one is for distribution. Can I have a motion, a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
You can do the next two together.
Resolution 2025-6-04 and Resolution 2025-6-05. Can I have a motion to approve resolutions 04 and 05?
So moved.
All in favor? Oh, sorry, second.
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 All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolution authorizing grant application. This is Resolution 2025-6-06, resolution authorizing grant application to the Burlington County Board of Commissioners for financial year 2025 Municipal Parks Development Program. Can I have a motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Then Resolution 2025-07, resolution awarding the contract for janitorial services. I know, Denise, you're going to recuse yourself.
Yeah.
I would just like the administrator to give us a little bit of the background here and the process around this.
Yes, Mayor. Several months ago, I had spoken to our CFO about the possibility of going out. We're refreshing our pricing and services for janitorial services here in Township Hall. An RFP was issued by Wendy, and we received 2 responses, one from our present provider and one from another provider. Also, a third copy was mailed to another provider so we could get hopefully 3 different submissions that company declined to submit. So a look at the proposals showed that a new provider would be giving us the service at a rate lower than our current provider. Also, one of the things that we were seeking was to have the services provided after hours so that it no longer interfered with our daily activities. So this provider, Aggie's Cleaning Service, will do those services after our normal business hours. That was something that the staff and myself really felt was appropriate. We dealt with a lot of interruptions and disturbance of our operations, and we wanted to remedy that.
George, I wanted to ask one question. Is it the same cleaning service does this building and the rec building?
They do, yeah, yes. 2 days a week at the rec.
Okay, thank you.
Just the restrooms.
Just the restrooms. Okay.
You said 2 days a week at the rec center?
Right, and they're here 2 days a week also, both sides, police and the admin side.
So they do this building and the rec and the restrooms at the rec center. Thank you.
Troy, I know you have reviewed it, or were you involved in this? And do you have any concerns or anything?
Thank you.
And I know it's
Denise, you
it's
should
also
not
going
be
to-
talking.
You should not be talking.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And I should have noted,
No, you should have.
I should have
told
been
me.
quicker on that.
Yes, I'm sorry. I forgot.
And I wanted to also ask the police chief, since you're going to be impacted by this, do you have any concerns or you're good with this? Anybody in the township staff? Because from what I can see is, we would like to have Aggie services back, especially if they are going to provide services in the evening and not disturb the staff during the office hours. And I know when I was reviewing this, there was this whole big concern is whether Aggie's Cleaning Service can continue to provide this service without disruption or interruptions, because I believe they were there with the township earlier. Then for a short period of time, we had this we had this other party who's providing at a higher cost. And now we are getting Aggie services back. So I just wanted to make sure that the township staff feels comfortable that there will be no disturbance or no disruption in service. And that we feel that they are adequately staffed to provide the service.
And I had that specific conversation with Aggie, because I know there was an issue several years ago. The current provider was brought on in 2021. So, family situations have changed, and she feels confident that in her absence, she's got an adequate substitute. There should be no disruption.
Perfect. That was my only question and concern. I think as long as we all feel comfortable with that, I'm good. Anybody else? Can I have a motion for resolution 2025, motion to approve resolution 2025-6-07?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Denise abstained. We got it.
Moving on, resolution 2025-6-08, resolution authorizing the refund of unused escrow funds to Chesterfield LLC rehabilitation. Can I have a motion to?
I just want to get a little explanation from George about that one.
Which one? I'm sorry.
The rehabilitation, that's,
Rehabilitation.
Chesterfield LLC no longer has any bonds with us or owes us
So-
anything. That was when we were
Okay,
doing
so
the
we're just
rehabilitation.
closing it
plan.
out.
That's correct.
Okay.
And I confess, I don't know what project that was.
Okay, well, that just answers my question. I just didn't know what the deal was with that. Okay. So I'll move that we,
All in favor? Aye. Resolution 2025-6-09, resolution canceling accounts payable and reserve items. So what items are we canceling?
Out in the resolution.
Resolution, okay.
Let me pull the resolution out. There are actually items that are on the books that maybe we did a purchase order for, and we purchased everything, but there's a balance left on the purchase order. So it has to be canceled off.
Okay, so these are balances.
These
of
are old
purchase orders not
balances.
You
consumed.
date back to about 2015.
Yes, yes.
Oh,
boy.
So they will go back into the appropriate reserve or capital account, whichever they were pulled from.
Got it. Okay. that
Or I'm
makes
sorry,
sense.
fund balance or into
Okay,
the
so
capital.
Exactly. So this money then goes back to our fund balance, which is good. We need everything that we can get over there.
I move we approve the resolution.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
So we have two appointments for our public works. So first is Resolution 2025-6-10, resolution appointing Davin Eggett to the position of Public Works Laborer, and Resolution 2025-6-11, resolution appointing Matthew Sardo to the position of Public Works Laborer.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very happy we got some
Yeah, that's awesome, Troy.
very happy.
So moving on, Resolution 2025-6-12, resolution authorizing step increase for Anthony Speranza due to obtaining commercial driver's license. I'm glad we are getting people who are approving and applying and passing the CDL. We do need many such people, not DPW. So that's great. Anybody, any questions, or can I have a motion to approve?
I move that we approve the ordinance.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2025-6-13, resolution authorizing submission of Governor's Council on Substance Use Disorder Fiscal Grant Cycle. July, that's a mouthful. July 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2026. My understanding, this is a change in
Name
name
change.
of the program.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution 2025-6-14, authorizing the approval of submission of a grant application to the New Jersey Department of Transportation Municipal Aid Grants Program for Hogback Road Phase 2 improvements. So this is a grant that we are applying for.
This is really, we passed this last time, but we didn't have the grant ID, and DOT will not accept the resolution without the grant ID. So
Oh, so
that's the only change in this. It's the exact same resolution we did at the last meeting, except for it has the grant ID number.
okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on, can I have a motion to approve the bills list?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Reports and discussion. So the first,
Just for clarification, so what I listed here is who I have to date who have submitted.
Yep.
I have to apologize. There's one I know for the historic preservation that just came in.
Jim McEwen.
Yes, Jim McEwen.
Okay.
I couldn't remember who it was, but I
Yeah,
knew I
he
just
reached
received
out
another
to
one.
me and said, because I guess he saw it on.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to make
Yeah.
sure that you had, an up-to-date list and knew that there was one more. And these are really just a list of who submitted them.
Thank you, Karen.
So I'm pleased to say we have a good number of volunteers on both the committees. So the first is the 2025 Finance Committee volunteers. So we have Herb Ames, Brett Anderson, Vibhor Batra, David Freeman, Sudhir Gokhale, Joseph Porco, Michael Rapp, and Wes Van Den Heuvel. So that's a good representation, and I think to me it's a good committee with a lot of members. Both Rebecca and I will be happy to be part of, be liaisons to this committee. And my opinion is we move ahead with this and take all the volunteers this year, more the merrier this year, and see how people perform. If we feel that, a lot of them are not coming, then we can adjust next year.
Agree too. Do we need to have a resolution on this or no? Just
I would just do a motion just to authorize that, these individuals to be the committee members for the remainder of calendar year 2020.
How frequently would they be meeting? Once a month?
So my goal is to meet once in a month or once in 2 months. Once in a month may not be possible for so many people.
Mhm.
And I would say first time I would like to meet is after the 4th of July holidays. I know Rebecca will have to look at your schedule as well. That works well. So that's the first meeting that we'll have. And then we'll take it from there. So can I have a motion to approve the members to the 2025 Finance Committee volunteers?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you. On the Historic Preservation Subcommittee volunteers, we have Susie Mahan, we have David Freeman, Lorraine Panfili, Steve Hazen, Scott Buchanan, Eric Talley, Doreen Falgiano, Carl Brown, Dawn and Laurie Hut, and then Jim McEwen. So that's also a big committee, and I think, I would like to hear from both of you whether you feel that that's a good representation.
I think it's a great representation. I'm pleasantly surprised at the number of people who volunteered. I think it's awesome. I would like all 11 of them to be able to participate.
I agree, absolutely.
And we also want them to get this done fast. So in the sense, give them time, but work on it and get back to.
Yeah, ideally.
I think, yeah, maybe Matt and I could talk about, just the two of us, about a way to reach out to everybody through Karen and just maybe dates that would work for us, and then we can maybe give the group a couple of dates, right?
Yep, I think that makes sense.
I'm assuming both of you will be kind of the liaisons, although this is not an.
I'd like to be.
Yeah, I'd like to also. Yeah. Has there been any contact made with these residents? They sent in their volunteer application.
Yes, we have something now so that most of them know that it has been received. And we had a little glitch where they weren't really receiving something back that says, yes, it's been submitted. So now that is happening.
Okay.
So
Perfect.
they know that. So some that didn't get anything contacted me.
Okay.
So can I have a motion to go ahead and approve the 11 members to the Historic Preservation Subcommittee volunteers?
So moved.
List? Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Then moving on to the third topic of Marjoram Road. So I'll just like to say that we have heard a lot of the residents, and we have also spoken to our township engineer and our Department of Public Works supervisor, Troy. And both of them have done some surveys for a number of towns, a number of roads in our town. And based on that, we are discussing with our township engineer on a proposal to have variable width for Marjoram Road, something that will be wider at where the turn roundabout is going to be. And then it will kind of, if possible, or how much possible it will to reduce the width when we come down after, I would say, Davenport Road and further down. But that proposal is still being worked on by our township engineer, and also Troy needs to look at it. So at this point in time, that has not been, I would say, formalized. Once it is submitted, this township committee will review it and it, or at least align, and then we will have to submit it to DOT. It's still in the works is all I can say at this point in time, but we are taking into account all that we are hearing from the residents, and it is something that we are considering. That's where I'll stop, but I know other members wanted to chime in.
Yeah, I was just going to add. So I took a trip and I met with one of the residents at Marjoram Road. I mean, I've been on that road, as I'm sure everyone else here has, 100 times, but not since this discussions began, and not seeing it through the eyes of the residents. I've seen it through the eyes of, someone driving by. So it was different, standing in their driveway and looking at the traffic coming and going. And I have to be honest, before that visit, I don't know that I got it. I don't think I got it. I think to me, like, well, why wouldn't you want a road as wide as possible? After meeting with the resident and after standing there and understanding why these residents moved there and just better kind of comprehending the dynamic of the road, I get it now. And I don't think I could support widening it to 29 feet. I think it would significantly change the character of that road in an irreparable way. So I don't think I could support anymore the status quo. It sounds like we're looking for something in the middle, which I'm glad to hear. So I don't know anyone on this dais who I guess hasn't kind of just gotten out of the car and maybe stood on Marjoram Road for a few minutes. I encourage you to do so, because it definitely gave me a very different perspective on it.
Yeah, I'm really glad to hear that we are planning on revising the plan. I couldn't agree more with what you said, Matt. I think that it doesn't make sense to do the full width. I think, I appreciate you guys coming out and voicing your concerns and emailing us. And I mean, we've heard you. I look forward to reviewing the updated plan, but I'm with Matt 100% that I don't think that I could support widening it to that full extent.
No, I also don't. I mean, I think that, Joe's not here, but he did agree that past Davenport. He doesn't see a need to have it be that wide. He said he felt it would be reasonable to do a variable. And I think, given the concerns of the residents, I think that I certainly don't support keeping it at that width, um, the whole width. I do kind of, and I want to see Joe's, as Sri said, get a more exact plan from our engineer. But I do feel like, and here again, because we're not getting a support or cooperation from the county on doing that circle, but part of it is that to do walking or biking, years ago, the original plan was to kind of do all of that so that that walking trail that's been referenced by, I think it was Jay tonight, in Old York Village, was to kind of go and continue into Charlotte Rogers so that kids could go there for their soccer and everything. And as with so many things, the original plan, you don't have the resources, you don't have the money, whatever. But I would still like to see that. So I think that to connect those two, and then at the beginning to keep it wider for that reason, is still something that I'm considering supporting. But past Davenport, I don't see any reason at all to widen the road. I think that to past, certainly not to that extent. I think we still need to look at, how wide, whether it's 23, 24, what we do. Troy was good enough to send to us a listing of all of the widths of all of the roads in Chesterfield. And really most of them are at least 24 feet. And the only ones that are not are, well, White Pine is 22 feet, but White Pine is very rural road, and doesn't have the traffic that Marjoram gets down at that end of people going in for soccer games and stuff. So I think a variable is certainly something I would support, but here again, I think we still need to see the exact report and give it some more thought.
I'm also glad that we are reviewing and revising the plan. And I want to thank all the residents for sharing your feedback, for taking the time out and, being present here at the meetings to speak up, to voice your concerns, or emailing us. So we really appreciate that. And I think personally, after reviewing the, input from the residents and discussing with the township engineer, I feel it's important to reach some kind of a reasonable compromise, which I'm hopeful that we will be doing that, because we don't want to alter the rural character of our community, and so we'll definitely would be looking into it and reviewing it. So thank you again, everyone, for giving your feedback.
And I would like to let everybody know that yes, we do have another public comment section in which you will be given an opportunity to speak, so you can certainly speak to that. We do need to balance the need of safety as well as residents' concern, and we are trying to do the best we can, considering both. Bear in mind, safety is primary. We do have kids going to those, I would say, to those soccer fields. Some of them do bike. A lot of people walk on that road as well. So we are trying our level best here to see what can be done. And I think our township engineer has taken that guidance and is working on a plan. So we'll hear more about it. Or he couldn't come today, otherwise he would have, he would have spoken to that. But we will know more about it, and I think the next meeting we'll have a better idea what that looks like. And we still have to submit it to DOT, and DOT will have to approve the revised plan. Okay. Moving on to reports of administration. So first, from the mayor's perspective, we did have a new appointee, Gilda Lizarraga, sorry, Gilda Lizarogov to the Economic Advisory Committee, and we had our first meeting of the Economic Advisory Committee this Monday. Gilda replaced Belinda Blazik, and the Economic Advisory Committee it was more of bringing them up to speed with the current status of what's happening in the town, because we hadn't met for almost, I would say, a year or so. And the two things that they brought up and they're really interested in knowing is one, what decision has the township made regarding creating or regarding the Department of Public Works, I would say, repair or relocation. That was one of the things. And I told them that we will be reviewing with George will be submitting a report very soon along with the township administrator, which is we need to look at both the requirements of the DPW and the commercial angle of the commercial space that will.
I did have a conversation with Joe about that, and he's putting something together.
Perfect. So that's something they would like to review. And then they're also very keen in trying to understand, what would be the, under the revised plan, what is it, revised fair share housing plan, what does that mean to Chesterfield and what will be the impact of that? And I did have to tell them that it's going to the planning board. Planning board will review it by the end of this month. Hopefully it'll be made into a public document and then they can take a look at that. So we plan to meet next in 2 months because, we still need to get these reports out and they need to review it. I think looking at all this, the next steps for them is trying to understand where are the different possibilities for commercial, and they are looking at it. They do like the idea of trying to find more commercials wherever we can, especially given the fact that now Chesterfield Inn is also closed down, at least temporarily. General. Sorry, I misspoke. I take that back. Chesterfield General Store is closed down temporarily, and what other commercial opportunities are there? Then the third thing they were interested in understanding is what's going to happen to the civic lot. Can we do something about the civic lot? That's another area of interest to the Economic Advisory Committee. So that's all I had to report for the Economic Advisory Committee. I did want to bring up one other point, which I think you are going to cover. So I'll just mention it here and I'll leave it for you to cover, George. This was the emergency repairs that we need to get done to the Georgetown Road. So I will let George speak to that, but that's something that we need to be aware of. It's being worked on and something that was unplanned. So I'll open it up to the Township Committee if anybody would like to add.
I don't have anything this evening.
I'm happy to share with everyone that Chesterfield Township is a proud recipient of a $2,000 grant by Sustainable NJ in support of our tree tenders program. And I would like to thank George, our Township Administrator, George Jackson, and Roseanne Greenberg, who's the Shade Tree Advisory Board Chair. They worked really hard on getting the grant together, and of course, they were supported by a tree team. The tree tenders team, and the Shade Tree Advisory Board team members. So we are very happy and proud to be the recipient of that $2,000.
I'm so glad that you were able to attend. Did you guys give a speech or a line that? A statement?
There were a lot of other recipients, other towns and other municipalities who were there. So I and Roseanne represented our town. We were happy to be there for the event. There were pictures taken, and they briefly shared about our project. So
please
have
those pictures, and we would like to see them on our website if we can.
I think that program's going to be a great addition to the
I think
township.
so. Yeah, we're looking forward to starting it soon.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention one other thing before I go to the Township Committee again. There was so both Suruchi and I did attend the memorial service at the county on May 30th, and at that time the public information officer from Burlington County reached out to us to say that our town is the first town in the county to have preserved the farms, and it's the 40th. To have a preserved farm, and our TDR program is well recognized by the county. The county wants to felicitate and recognize our farmers and the preserved farms here in Chesterfield, and they are going to do a function on the 40th anniversary of, I believe, preserved farms in New Jersey in Burlington County, and it's going to happen on the 27th of June in the morning. So the county and all our all our farmers will be there. There will be a small ceremony on the grounds at the Chesterfield.
Yeah, we're still working
fire-
all that out,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah, we're still working out the details, but it'll be at the fire district, on the fire district grounds. And that's the site of the first preserved farm as well. I think the check for the first preserved farm was handed over there, if I'm not wrong, or some signing.
That's where they had the first ceremony and the signing, yes.
So,
June 27th.
Right now, it's June 20. I'm just waiting for the final confirmation from the county. That's the date that they gave me. I wanted to make sure that we were going to be able to have representation. So
it's a Friday.
I'll save the date.
Yep.
probably around 9, it's going to be
Yeah.
around 9:30-ish, 9:30, 10. Yep.
I will be there. But I think that's great, and I would like to, maybe we could invite somebody from Sustainable to come, and we can start to work with them and get them to recognize that Chesterfield has have preserved ourselves so many farms, and I think to get them to understand the uniqueness of the program that we've developed in Chesterfield, because we've had it's difficult to get these organizations to understand what we've done here, because we're really the only town in New Jersey and possibly in many states who've actually been able to successfully run a program where we have preserved farms ourselves rather than relying on a county or a state organization. So I think it's something that we're very proud of, and I think continually try to educate all of these environmental and other organizations about what we've done here, because it's pretty amazing and pretty unique.
Very proud of Chesterfield. That's in something. Okay.
I just have, two quick things. So just a reminder that there's a Flag Day celebration across the street at the firehouse this Saturday at 10 a.m., led by the Boy Scouts Troop 55. It's a pretty cool celebration. If you've never seen it, definitely recommend coming out for it. It's a relatively quick one too. And then a reminder that next Thursday, is Chesterfield Elementary graduation. Hopefully we'll have some representation from the township, and my family and I won't be sitting there alone.
Unfortunately, I'm going to be away next week, so I won't be making it, but I congratulate all of the graduates.
Sixth graders for sure. Anybody else? Moving on to administration.
Just a couple items, Mayor. Following up on Cerrucci's report on the grant. If you all remember back, I guess about 3 years ago, you had the $10,000 grant from Sustainable Jersey for the environmental resources inventory. After 3 or 4 years, we finally completed the project, submitted on St. Patrick's Day our final report, and I hadn't heard anything back. And I followed up with Sustainable Jersey, and we've been approved. I got an email today where the the remainder of the 10,000, which is an outstanding balance of 5,000. We should be getting that soon too. So we're flush with cash here. Sustainable Jersey. But that was something that was started several years ago, and it was just a long slog to get through it.
Yeah, but the planning board did add that to our Chesterfield, our master plan. So it has been as it is.
And the report's available online. It's an impressive report.
It really is.
It really is something. It took the gentleman with Delaware Valley a little bit longer than everyone expected, but everything is coming to an end here, so that's good news. In regard to the emergency road work that's come up, and I'll ask Troy to talk about some of the particulars about what he's dealing with, is about a week ago, it came to Troy's attention that there was a washout and a sinkhole on Georgetown Road. It's on Georgetown, just north of 85 Georgetown Road. And the troubled portion is on the west side of the roadway. There's a pipe that goes beneath the roadway that water travels through. And on that west side, there's a washout. And you said it was old timbers that kept that up, or telephone poles, basically?
Can you talk into the microphone, please?
48 and above. So we reached out to the county to see if it was theirs. We were hoping it was. It was not. So we have to create a whole new spillway for that pipe on both sides, guardrail, do everything in accordance with today's standards.
Because of the nature of the problem with the roadway, time is of the essence. So under state statute, under an emergency situation, the municipality can bypass the bidding process where we would put together an RFP, distribute bids, gather them back, and go through that entire process. So the municipality has declared through our CFO that we do have an emergency situation. Our engineer and Troy have both worked with Wendy on this, and this enables the municipality to commence work immediately. However, we first have to confirm that we have a viable contractor, and Joe, through his contacts, has identified a company that he think would be a good resource to make the repair. Now he has to get their commitment that they will in fact do the work, and also we have to get a budget that we can live with to move ahead. So we don't have that information at hand now. So hopefully by our next meeting on the 26th, we'll be able to present you with a resolution authorizing the work and the money. However, to be perfectly frank with you, if we're lucky, that work will have already commenced because we have to get this going. So it is truly an emergency situation. I know Troy has stabilized the roadway, but if you look at it, it's with duct tape and toothpicks holding it together, but it's good for the time being. But if you look at it, you'll see it's something that really does need to be addressed immediately.
So this would be something we pay for through bonding?
Yeah, this would be considered a capital appropriation. So once we get the amount, right now our guesstimate is between 100 and 150,000, but Joe will work with a contractor and get a better number for us. But it is something that we have to move ahead with. So just want you to be aware.
I haven't been down that road lately. Is it closed off or is it
Not
still
yet.
drivable?
Not yet. It's still drivable. Like George said, we patched it back together with duct tape right now. We get a good rain and could possibly wash out the rest of the way. It started to undermine the roadway. That's what caused the emergency. So it's stable for now. Let's cross our fingers. We're going to talk to the contractor tomorrow and have pricing hopefully in place and possibly start doing work within the next week or so.
Thank you.
All good?
Yep.
The other thing I just wanted to report back to you is on Monday, June 2nd, I attended a meeting in Bordentown Township with the administrator, a mayor of a neighboring municipality, which I won't identify because we're in negotiation stages, and also a representative of the Division of Local Government Services for the state of New Jersey about expanding the shared court. We presently are partnered with Bordentown. We have an agreement that expires at the end of this year. With the building of their new municipal complex, they would like to expand the shared court, hopefully bring some other towns in, and also try to spread the costs among more towns and make this a more economical venture for everyone. We had a very preliminary conversation. One of the good topics that came up is there is a program called a LEAP grant, Local Efficiency Achievement Program. And one of the aspects of this program is they provide funding for shared services. And it looks like there's significant money available to help get this underway. If there are any material or staffing costs, they would underwrite that to get this new venture in the works. So the representative from the state will be looking into that for us. We have future meetings that we're going to have with the other municipalities to try to bring them in. I will tell you that the mayor of the other municipality wasn't so warm to the idea. He feels that he's in a good arrangement now, but there are things that may make this more enticing. So I'll keep you informed as it progresses and if there are any changes. Our hope is that our percentage of the cost will go down as we share it with other towns. The flip side is there will have to be more staffing. So that will raise the bar on the other side. And the state has a formula basically through workload that determines the staffing that the court has to have. So it's a work in progress, but I want to let you know that is underway.
Thanks for that update.
Our fingers crossed.
Good.
Okay, anybody else?
I make a motion, we open for public comment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Karen, we do have someone online. That's
Okay.
Oh. When I saw it the last time, we were already in. How do I do this? Bill, you can go ahead and speak if you'd like. Maybe not. All right. Normally I could just unmute them, but I can't. He just lowered his hand. Bill, if you're online, you need to unmute yourself. Yep. Must be having connection problems.
Well, that's too bad.
Well, if he's going to reconnect, then we'll catch him again. But if there's someone, if you want to move.
The audience. You can come to the podium and
We're just
Your
wondering.
name and address. I'm
Oh,
sorry, just for
That's
the
all right,
record.
again, okay. You don't remember me? Come on.
I remember you, but the recording doesn't.
Jay Gaffney, 8 Marjoram Road. Just wondering if is there a more definitive time frame on the Marjoram Road situation and when you're going to decide and make a recommendation?
do you have a sense of how long it'll take for Troy? No, not for Troy, sorry, for Joe. Troy.
We have to make a
Well,
I can tell you-
determination soon, don't we?
I have some dates.
Okay.
The bid must be awarded or extended by July 12th
Oh,
That was 60 days from last meeting, right?
for the contract.
Right.
From the opening of the bid.
Right.
It has to be awarded or extended.
Oh, sorry.
As far as our
Hello?
grant,
Hello?
a contract has to be in place by October, and I don't know the specific date. We have $282,880 at stake. So I believe, and after talking between our attorney and our engineer, that since if in fact you do follow through and make changes
I can.
with the work, we're going to have to reject our contract, reject our bids, and rebid this job.
oh geez.
We can't just make a wholesale change on a bid job, especially if we're going to reduce some of the coverage. Now we're reducing our amounts of material, our work. So other contractors that bid would have a very, very good complaint, good argument.
Which means we need to move on this. We don't have a ton of.
Well, next meeting, we have to have a real decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't have another meeting before.
The 26th, we have a meeting.
Yeah, I mean, but after that, there's no other
Not
meeting.
After that,
Or that
no.
July 12th date.
So,
Next-
so,
Next meeting, we need.
so I just want to make sure I understand this. So if we keep it as it is, then we can go forward. But if we decide to, which I think we're going to do, to make significant changes, we have to start the whole bidding process over
Yes,
again.
that's my understanding because we have to go back to the DOT again, right? DOT has to approve the revised plan.
Yes.
They do, if there are changes to the plans, they would have to approve those changes.
Before we go out to bid.
And then we'd have to go out to bid.
Then we have to go out to, and then it means by October, we have to spend the money.
We have to award the contract.
Get the bids back.
And
Hopefully they're good enough. You have someone that's,
so
responsible.
it's going to reset our timelines. Our goal is to hear from the township engineer by next meeting. We should have
So
those
if we come
details.
to the next meeting, we'll have,
You'll have a very good sense of what we are.
okay. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think he's back. Go online.
Bill, if you'd like to speak, go ahead. Just state your name and
yeah.
address first, please.
Yes, this is William Berger, 92 Chesterfield Crosswicks Road. I'm speaking on the margin thing. I'm sorry. I had technical difficulties with the app. I'm actually here with my neighbor, John Saganowski. And he's 11 Margin Road. And I know you guys were talking about Davenport being like the changeover, but that directly affects 11 Margin Road. if you widen the road to the 28 or whatever over to John's house, how does that affect him, like with his frontage? If you take his property, who you just take that property? He's got a lot of frontage here. He's got 3 acres. How does that work? Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can. We're just waiting for you to finish. If you finish, then
Yeah, and I know you guys are expressing safety with the kids, riding bikes to the soccer fields or doing everything. But I've been here 28 years. I've coached all the sports in Chesterfield. I ran the CTAA for years. I don't see any kids riding bikes to anywhere. I mean, parents drive them, even if they're in Davenport. They drive them to the field, which is mind-boggling to me. But that's what I see. But I'm concerned with this. If it's by the circle, I understand it's got to be widened to the max, whatever. But that's over by my house. So it's weird that you guys are considering like doing the 22 feet up on the other end of the road to appease most of the residents, but there's only there's 4 or 5 houses down this end that would be affected if you take more of their property. But I don't know which side of the road you're taking it. And then what happens to that property? Who, if they have to take, say, 6, 9 feet of somebody's property, do they get paid for that? How's that work? That's what I'm trying to say.
We can hold that question to the end after public comment if you'd like.
yeah. Oh, thank you.
Hi, Nick Sorelli, 156 Davenport Drive. A couple things. I'm kind of going to work backwards. First item was talking about people walking from Old York over to Charlotte Rogers. There's already an existing walking path that was paved maybe 8 years ago. It used to be gravel, and now it's paved. It goes from Davenport on the Crosswicks Chesterfield all the way around Charlotte Rogers, ends at the other end of Davenport in my front yard. So having safety for walking and bikes, it already exists. If you're worried about walking and biking from Davenport down to Waln, I think the better option is to put a bike path, a walking path, a sidewalk. Shoulders are not intended for walking. They're intended for emergency pullovers. They're not intended. It's a false sense of security if you're walking.
The guy over here, he lives in Davenport.
Okay. Second one, the question about the work. If you guys are not awarding the bids, what's going on with the work that's going down, that's actually happening right now on Marjoram? There was work today. There was work yesterday. Is all that going to be suspended until a bid is awarded? Third one, completely unrelated. Ordinance 2025-06. I was reading it after you guys approved it. It only mentions Harvest Fest. Is there any intention for the Green Fair, and why was the Green Fair not included? Thank you.
Good evening, Brett Anderson, 62 Brookdale Way. I wanted to bring up 2 topics for you, completely unrelated. The first topic, I wanted to encourage the committee to consider an enhancement to the township's social media policy as it pertains to the committee members. This is something that refers to incidents that have happened a bit in the past, but I think there's been some increased activity in local towns and on some school boards recently, and I think it highlights the importance of this. So we've had, unfortunately, a history in Chesterfield of Sitting committee members, they're no longer currently sitting on the committee, so I'm not talking about the folks that are sitting in front of me, who have either shared or amplified the distribution of personal contact details, including address, email, etc., for residents of the town, including volunteers on some of our committees. As an example, I personally was impacted by this. Somebody posted false information in one of our local community groups about me and then posted a close-up screenshot of my home address. I had to hire an attorney. I had to increase security in my home to deal with this.
That's not you, I'm sorry.
Understood. I had to increase security at my home to deal with this right at a time when I had family who had visited my home, and I had a friend who was visiting, and strangely enough, they were having issues with nails in their tires right after they left my home. So I'm just very concerned, and I think it's important that the committee consider something so that if an individual violates this policy, perhaps they're removed from their committee liaison appointments or other things that are within the power of the committee. And I mentioned this because I said a resident posted this, but then a committee member later said, yes, that's his address on social media. So that sitting committee member pointed another resident to my personal information and the false information that was posted about me. The second topic, again, I mentioned completely unrelated, and sorry for kind of swinging in a completely opposite direction, but I just wanted to thank you for establishing the Finance Committee. I think it's really terrific for the town that we're getting more resident involvement in the finances, as this is obviously a topic that comes up all the time. So I really appreciate your attention to this. Thank you.
Thank you, Brett.
Anybody else? Can I have a motion to close public comments?
Moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. So my only point is that I do not want to speculate on anything on the variable width till we see a plan from Joe. And once we see a plan from our township engineer, only then we'll be able to talk to that. I don't want to speculate anything at all at this point in time on that.
Agree. Dominic, do you think you could perhaps share with us what our current social media policy is, or what? I have no idea. Or Karen, right off the top of your head, give it to Dominic to look at then. Well, to review it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we can see if it needs to be updated with current, what's done in other towns and current.
No problem.
Yeah, that would be good. I don't believe we have one.
I don't think we do either, but
have a
what?
social media- we have a social media
Probably falls
policy.
under computer
We
usage.
have a social media
Our
policy.
handbook, personnel manual.
So I think it, maybe we should review it,
Probably needs to
see what we think about it.
Okay.
One thing, just for your information, actually, we just started it today, coincidentally, is we entered into a contract with Civic Plus, the designers of our website, for social media archiving. One of the problems with social media is things develop into litigation, all types of different legal issues, and there's no way to retrieve the information that a user or we may have put on the website. So we entered into a contract with Civic Plus. Haley will be managing it. She handles our Facebook page now, and that it'll be retaining all of our information that goes on our Facebook page or any other social media that we might use. If we happen to use X, I know, Karen, I think we have a YouTube account.
Yes, we do.
So we need to add that
Okay.
because we put information on there. That's one of
Yeah, the only thing we put on there are the minutes, or the videos.
our videos.
That's it.
We should add that.
But we
on
could
there
do
as
other stuff,
well.
yeah.
We'll get to that. But just trying to look ahead.
No, I
and
think it's
be
a great
cautious
idea.
so we don't get caught, because we do have a responsibility to maintain our records, and social media is an official government record for those purposes. So we did jump on that.
It'll also be good to understand what should we and should we not be doing as committee members on social media, because I think
Stay
Mr.
off.
Anderson's, yeah.
Exactly.
Well, it's very easy to say stay off, but then, there's
Oh, I
also
know.
that engagement with the community
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
there. So you have to strike a balance.
It's a fine balance. I think that's why, and I think we really should look at what our policy is. See what needs to be.
Thank you. So we are going to have an executive session tonight. We have a resolution that we may pass at the end of it, 2025-6-15. I believe it will take us about 30 minutes, 15 to 30 minutes max.
Say about 10.
And this is for personal issue, right? 10 minutes, okay, 10 minutes, okay. So we don't want to go long. So we are going to go into an executive session. So can I have a motion to go into executive session?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming tonight.
Time is 8:23.
Monday.
And Chief, we would like you to stay for the
This conference will now be recorded.